Hello everyone, my name is Marian Guevara and I hope you're having a great Christmas season, holiday season. That's the time in which I am filming this video. So this is going to be my last video of 2025. I do plan on doing a most disappointing reads list, my favorite books of 2025 list, but I will be pushing that to the next year in 2026. So today, for my last video of the year, I'm going to be doing a book haul, so showing you all the books that I've accumulated over the past few months. I think the last book haul I did was when I came back from my trip to Sweden this past summer. So I've been gone for a while, mainly due to the semester. It's been very hectic, very busy, so I haven't gotten a lot of reading done as much as I would have wanted to. But just because I haven't gotten a lot of reading done doesn't mean I stopped buying books or I've stopped receiving books. So yeah, I have a stack here that I would like to show you guys. A few caveats: if you've never watched a book haul of mine before, I will not show books that I have featured heavily in other videos. So you're not going to see The Cathedral that Drowned. You're not going to be seeing The Lost Estate, which I did an entire video on. Nor are you going to see books that I have hauled and then unhauled because, no point. So yeah, there's quite a bit of books here, so let's just get started. So I'm going to start off with some heavy hitters, and the first one that I have to show you here is a Christmas gift from my family, and it's a grail item of mine. I wanted it desperately ever since I discovered its existence, and that is the Suntup Press edition of The Silence of the Lambs by Thomas Harris. This is one of my favorite books of all time, and this is my first ever Suntup book. So Suntup Press, founded by Paul Suntup, this is a company that has put out fine press special editions of genre fiction titles, but I would say these are titles that have, I think, that have a more general impact within, pop culture. They've done the Hannibal Lecter series, they've done Rosemary's Baby, Psycho, The Exorcist, they've even done Diana Gabaldon's Outlander. I never thought in a million years we would get a special edition of The Silence of the Lambs, but here we are. So yeah. I was so ecstatic getting this in the mail. You can feel the high quality to it from everything, from the book itself to the slipcase it's in. This is such a sturdy slipcase. It feels a lot more sturdier than even like Folio Society's. So yeah, here we have the death head moth on the front and it wraps around. Get the spine there, and it goes off into the back. And then when you take the book out, so it does come with a bookmark, so here it is. So this was secondhand, and the person who had it before me did Mylar wrap it. I do appreciate the protection, although it does make the book harder to film and take pictures of, but that's okay. So the art was done by Tom Bagshaw. So yes, just gorgeous, gorgeous here. I love it. You got Clarice Starling in the front, and like Hannibal Lecter as like this dark angel. And I'll show you a bit of the art on the inside as well. I just love flipping through this. I mean, you open this book, you flip through the pages, you can feel the quality, the high quality to it. So there's Clarice when she first meets Hannibal, and I'll show you another one here. And then you got Hannibal Lecter himself. Oh, so good. So this is the artist edition. So there's the artist editions, the numbered editions, and the lettered editions. So this one obviously puts emphasis on the art, and that's what I want out of my special editions. I know that the numbered editions and the lettered ones have like higher quality materials, but I just want more art in the special editions that I get. So honestly, that works out for me because the artist edition is not only provides what I like in special editions, but it's also the cheapest option. So when it comes to these types, to the artist versions, these do include a signature from the artist. So there we go. Tom Bagshaw. I believe there were 1,000 of these that were made. It doesn't show like, a number out of 1,000, but I'm pretty sure this is, there were 1,000 copies made of this. So yeah. So stunning, so gorgeous, and yeah, this grail item is now mine. Now for the next two books, this is actually a continuation of a series that I am collecting. So I actually showcased the first volume, and this is for the Crafter Press editions of the collected works of H.P. Lovecraft. So I showcased the first one back like 5 months ago, and since then I managed to get volumes 2 and 3. So actually, I think you saw volume 2 in my latest bookshelf tour, but that's okay. I'll show you again. Here is volume 2 of the collected works of H.P. Lovecraft. This contains his works from the years 1926 to 1930, and it showcases Cthulhu here. And you got art in the back, and then you have this very, very cool, like on the cloth bound cover, an image as well. My only complaint, I would say, from these editions is the fact that the dust jacket feels insanely fragile. I am terrified of just handling these books. I need to get it like Mylar wrapped. So here's some illustrations. So Karen Mazid has done the illustrations, both the interior and the exterior. Next we have volume 3, and this contains the works of his from 1931 to 1936. So this does include At the Mountains of Madness. So here we have, I initially thought this was a Shoggoth. It's not. It's an Elder Thing. And it continues in the back here. And then we do have the interior illustration. This is the shadow over Innsmouth. Good stuff. And we do have the nice emblem on the front, on the cloth-bound front. Just great stuff. I am eagerly awaiting for volume 4. Volume 4 contains his collaborative works. So works that he co-authored, that he edited, all that jazz. So I don't know when they're going to release that one. But yeah, looking forward to completing this set. Moving on, we have a really special one, and that is An Imperial Retinue by Josiah Bancroft. Now, I actually own the numbered edition of this already. However, this one was actually a prize. I won a contest on his Patreon, and the prize was either a signed copy of The Hexologist or An Imperial Retinue. I chose An Imperial Retinue, and because I already owned an edition of this, I asked if he would so graciously include a remark, and he did. So, well, first of all, it is signed and addressed to me. And there's the remark. Look at that. It's Adam. So if you're familiar with that character, kudos. If you're not and you haven't read the series, you definitely should. So yeah, that's my special edition of An Imperial Retinue. So for those who don't know, and for those who have read the Books of Babel and did not know this existed, this is a collection of short stories. Half of them take place in other parts of the tower, and then the other half are like cut material from the books. So I highly recommend this to those who have read the Books of Babel and they still want a little bit of taste of the tower and the world. Definitely check this one out. The only way you can get this in a trade edition is through Subterranean Press. This is like $60, so if it's a bit pricey, there is an ebook. So yeah, just highly recommend that you check this one out if you're a fan of the Books of Babel. Next, we have a graphic novel, and I haven't hauled a graphic novel in years, but this one I really wanted to get my hands on, but it proved difficult to get. I was waiting for it to kind of drop down to my price range because I would say on average on eBay, the price is like $60 to $100, but lo and behold, it fell within my budget a while back, and I finally got The Stars My Destination graphic novel by Alfred Bester. So The Stars My Destination I read last year. It wasn't one of my favorite books of the year. It was like an honorable mention, but like I enjoyed it enough where I really wanted the graphic novel version of it. I was very much drawn to the artwork in this. Very, very cool. I never gotten or never read from a graphic novel from this time period, like from the 70s or anything like that. Very, very cool. I mean, I say graphic novel, it's mainly like an abridged version of the book, but like it's heavily illustrated, as you can tell. So yeah, I highly recommend that, you know, if you want to try Alfred Bester, you go with The Stars My Destination. This was excellent. The story explores the consequences when man is able to teleport, and it's very much a proto-cyberpunk book, but I don't want to give off the impression that it's very pulpy or anything like that. It does explore like these very, you know, rich themes, and the character of Gully Foyle, our main character, is very fascinating. I still debate whether or not I like this character or like this guy. So yeah, I also got this edition of Howl's Moving Castle by Diana Wynne Jones. This is the HarperCollins edition. So in a previous book haul, I showed you my Fairy Loot edition of Howl's Moving Castle. Since then, I did sell it off. I did unhaul it. The only reason I was keeping it around was because of the reversible dust jacket. There was nothing else about it that, you know, made me want to keep it. I just felt it was a beautiful edition, don't get me wrong. However, I felt that it fit the vibe of the film more than the actual book. But yeah, anyway, I end up really liking this one over the Fairy Loot. In fact, I do like the dark blue, purple, orange color combo. You got Book Hal and Sophie there. Hal with the guitar and everything. Look at that shine. And then you have here on the back. And then it does have this beautiful like starlight edges. The edges on the Fairy Loot, beautiful, but they were basically just the cover that they put on the edges. And then here you have more art. So once again, it's Book Hal and Book Sophie, and you got Calcifer there on the side. And then when you go to the back, it's the same scene stretched out. So you got all the magic bric-a-brac there. So yeah, once again, I actually prefer this HarperCollins edition to the Fairy Loot, in my opinion. Next, we'll move on to some gifts. So both of these actually came from my friend Matt. Huge shout out to Matt. Looking out for me and my book collecting. So the first one was a birthday gift, and that is The Forgotten Beasts of Eld by Patricia A. McKillop. Now, at the time I received this, I had already read The Forgotten Beasts of Eld and loved it, but this was on my Amazon wishlist. This is the hardcover 50th anniversary edition that actually comes with illustrations. And when I found out that it came with illustrations, I was so jazzed. So actually I'm going to show you the naked hardcover. Wow, beautiful stuff. And then I'm going to show you a bit of the illustrations as well. It's not too major, like it's not like, some of them are full illustrations, some of them are not, but honestly gorgeous. I really dig it. Really dig the art. And then for Christmas, Matt gifted me this, No Name by Wilkie Collins. Now, I once again, I read this already, but I didn't have a physical copy. So thank you, Matt. You're looking out for me. No Name, great Wilkie Collins. Honestly, Woman in White, No Name, Armadale, just peak Collins for me. So yeah, if you haven't read this one, I highly recommend that you do so. For those who don't know, this is about two sisters, Nora and Magdalene, who through tragedy are basically declared illegitimate. They're thrown out of their house. They don't have any of the inheritance that they were supposed to get. And so the two sisters take two different paths. Nora decides that she's going to, go through, the honest route to become a governess, earn money that way. Magdalene decides that she's going to do whatever it takes, any subterfuge that she takes, to get the inheritance she feels that she deserves. For the rest of these books, I'll just be randomly taking them off from the pile. So the first one we have here is The Day of the Triffids by John Wyndham. So this is the SF Masterwork edition. Now you're probably wondering, why is it in hardcover when all of the rest of the SF Masterworks are in paperback? Well, apparently Golanx only had the rights to the hardcover versions of Wyndham's works. So that's why all of his works in the SF Masterworks are hardcover. So yeah, this one I got off of Penguin Books for a really good price. Typically when I see them on the secondhand market, they tend to be pricier. I guess, I don't know, perhaps they're harder to acquire. I'm not entirely sure. But yeah, I saw the hardcover version on Pengo for really cheap. So I thought, why not? Yes, it's hardcover, but it'll still match with my SF Masterworks. So I actually replaced my older copy with this edition. Next we have Mary Shelley's Frankenstein. This is the movie cover edition. Now I haven't seen the Guillermo del Toro film just yet, okay? I'm waiting for it to drop on DVD. I don't want to get a Netflix account just to watch this film, so I'll be patient and wait. I know that it's getting a physical media release, so thank goodness for that. But anyway, I actually read Frankenstein years ago. Loved it, gave it 5 stars, but I'm pretty sure that was the 1831 version. So I don't think I've ever read the 1818 text. I was debating getting this one or the Penguin Black Spine. Both of them have this stupid Netflix, irremovable sticker, so can't do anything about that. I decided to go with this version because I actually prefer it over the Penguin Black Spine. Don't really care for that cover. But yeah, Jacob Elordi's creature looks great. And yeah, this cover is sick. So we have that. And then obviously, this is one of my, actually not one of, it is my most anticipated release of 2025. That is A Tangle of Time. So the second book in the Hexologist series by Josiah Bancroft. If you are into fantasy mysteries and you have not read The Hexologist, you really should. It's a great series, and A Tangle of Time just further proves it. I actually prefer this over the first book. I think this is an improvement over the first book. This is just amazing. Loved it. 5 stars. This is the copy that I ordered from Main Point Books, and they provided signed copies of A Tangle of Time. So this one is signed to me. Just love this. Love this book. Next we have The Children of Gods and Fighting Men by Shauna Lawless. Now, I first heard about this from a Bookstagram friend named Hulissa. She mentioned that this was based off like Irish folklore, mythology, and that's what got me interested in it. I know that since then, like Tori and then John from Talking Story both read this and really enjoyed it. This takes place in 981 AD. The Viking king of Dublin has died. He has left this power vacuum, and the political terrain is now very treacherous. You have like these races of immortals that are hidden. You know, there are people that are trying to kill them. Some of them can, you know, they all have powers. One of them can manipulate fire, the other can heal, and the story kicks off when our main protagonist agrees to spy on a man who is vying for the throne of Dublin. So, yeah. Next we have The Coming of Conan the Cimmerian by Robert E. Howard. These are the first 13 original short stories of Conan the Barbarian. Now, the reason why I was inspired to read some Conan stories was because I was on YouTube and I came across some gameplay clips of MK1, and one of the playable characters there was Arnold Schwarzenegger's Conan. So I watched it, and it just made me intrigued about the character himself. And I saw this copy at my local Barnes & Noble, and I decided to pick it up. Now, Conan, I've never read any of the stories. I haven't even seen Arnold Schwarzenegger films. However, he's such a popular character. He's definitely a pop culture icon. And I definitely wanted to at least try some of the stories. And Robert E. Howard, if I'm not mistaken, was part of the Lovecraft Circle at the time. So I do want to read from him, for sure. Next, we have Fyodor Dostoevsky's White Nights. So I picked this one up solely for White Nights. I heard it was about a story of unrequited love, and I've never read anything from Dostoevsky before, so I thought this would be like a good way to like dip my toes into his work. However, there are 2 other stories here. We have A Nasty Business and The Meek One. I actually started reading this one, but I put it down because the first story here is A Nasty Business, and I just was not feeling it. So I put it down, kind of soft DNF'd it. Maybe when I go back to it, I'll just skip to White Nights, because like that's the story that I wanted to read. Next, we have The Human Cord by Algernon Blackwood. So my Barnes & Noble has been pretty good with getting some British Library Tales of the Weird. Unfortunately, it's been the same titles, you know, From the Depths, Evil Roots, Holy Ghosts. I kind of wish they would expand beyond those titles, but they did include The Human Cord. Now, this one, the premise is kind of tricky. I know this involves an ex-clergyman who invites a bunch of singers to his abode, where they are going to participate in a ritual. I believe the idea is that if he achieves the right frequency, the right note, they can properly enact this particular ritual. I'm not entirely sure, but that was very interesting, the idea of sound and how that plays into sort of like these esoteric practices. Now, this book I got mainly because the title interested me, and the cover was also interesting as well. So this is I Never Promised You a Rose Garden by Joanne Greenberg. So this is actually semi-autobiographical. We're following a 16-year-old girl named Deborah Blau who has been diagnosed with schizophrenia and has recently made an attempt on her own life. Her parents admit her into a psychiatric hospital where she is retreated into this fantasy kingdom in her mind called Ear. And this is basically about, you know, the doctors trying to help her, you know, get better. So this book explores mental health during this time period within the 1960s. So very interesting. Next we have Nana by Emile Zola. So I always gotta have an Emile Zola or a Wilkie Collins in my book haul. So Nana is part of the Rougon Macquart series. And it actually follows Nana Coupeau, who happens to be the half-sister of Etienne Lantier, the main protagonist of Germinal, and Jacques Lantier, the main protagonist of The Beast Within. So yeah, this is their half-sister. So Nana was born in the slums of Paris to drunken parents, and she's basically kind of risen up the ranks, so to speak, as a call girl, basically a high-class prostitute. So she has a lot of men who will kind of fall at her feet for her. You have a lot of women who try to imitate her, and Nana has this very insatiable desire for the finer things of life. This desire that I believe leads her to her doom. Next, we have another Penguin classic Black Spine edition. So we have Anthony Trollope, Can You Forgive Her? And this is a chunky one. This is a pretty chunky book. So this one was written in 1862, I believe. And look, it deals with one of my favorite topics. This is like 19th century British people, marriage shenanigans. I love that. I love reading about that, okay? So this one follows Alice Vavasor, who is kind of torn between two men. Her cousin, George, who is considered ambitious but violent, and then you have this very upright, gentlemanly man named John Gray. So she ends up agreeing and breaking off her engagements to both of these men, and her issue or her dilemma is in contrast to another lady named Lady Glencora, who is kind of forced into this political marriage. So it says here, in asking his readers to pardon Alice for her transgression of the Victorian moral code, Trollope created a telling and wide-ranging account of the social world of his day. Next, we have The Truth by Terry Pratchett. So I know I told myself I was going to move on to the Moist Von Lippick books. However, The Truth is a standalone, so this will be easy to get through. In The Truth, Ankh-Morpork has a printing press, and so they get a newspaper and all the shenanigans that follow from that. So I also picked this one up because not only does it take place in Ankh-Morpork, however, characters from the City Watch feature in this book. I know that Nobby, Colin, Angua, Carrot, Vimes, they actually appear in The Truth. So I haven't said goodbye to my Goon Squad quite yet. So yeah. Next we have The Curse of Chalion by Lois McMaster Bujold. So I know that Tori has read this. I know that Anita has read this. I believe they enjoyed it, from what I remember. But yeah, this is a fantasy book. I believe it's the first book in a series. However, it can be read as a standalone, if I'm not mistaken. So in this one, we're following a man named Kazaril, who was banished from this noble household that he once worked as a page. However, after years, he's coming back to work as a tutor for the sister of the man who is going to inherit this household, basically. However, the men, I believe, who were in charge of his first disgrace and his first banishment are still there, have risen to power, and still pose a threat. And there's also a curse. And that's all I know about The Curse of Chalion. Next, we have The City and Its Uncertain Walls by Haruki Murakami. Now, I've read a Murakami before, way back, years back, Sputnik Sweetheart. And I think I liked it. I never read a Murakami since, and not because I despised my time reading the book and I never want to read him again. No, I was just waiting for one where, the premise interested me. And when I read the premise of this one, I was intrigued. So this is about a man whose girlfriend disappears, and it's his quest to find her. However, he believes he knows where she is, and it's this imaginary town that they actually used to talk about, and that she might actually be working at this dream library. So it says here, it's a love story, a quest, an ode to books and to the libraries that house them. So that line in particular is what really drew me to this book. Next, we have The Hole. So this is a Korean novel that's been translated. Now, this one I've had on my want to read list for quite a while. This one has been likened to Misery. We're following a man named Ogi who had recently been in a car accident that killed his wife, and it's left him paralyzed and disfigured. And the one who is taking care of him now is his mother-in-law, which it's complicated because him and his wife were going through a rough patch. Obviously, like his wife's mother, his mother-in-law, like adored her daughter, so like there's friction. So Ogi is left bedridden, and I believe as the book goes on, he slowly starts to become neglected, and he starts looking outside the window and notices that his mother-in-law is digging a hole in the garden. And when he asks her like what she's doing, she tells him, oh, she's finishing what her daughter started. Next is Happy Place by Emily Henry. You can thank Evie from She Was Only Evie for this. And you know, Evie and I, we share a bit of similar tastes. She loves Persuasion. I love Persuasion. And she says like this is like up there with it in terms of like the romances that she loves. So yeah. The next book that we have here is Alien Clay by Adrian Tchaikovsky. I've already read 2 books by him, Cage of Souls, Guns of the Dawn. Enjoyed them both very much. So I'm trying to get through a lot of his standalones because I don't want to commit to one of his series just yet. So this one follows a professor named Anton Dagdev who has always dreamed about studying alien life. And he gets an opportunity. However, under undesirable circumstances, due to his political activity, he ends up becoming exiled to this work camp on this alien planet where there's this alien civilization and alien ruins. So I believe it's about him coming into contact and actually getting to study this civilization, these aliens. And I believe there is a terrible secret involved with regards to this civilization that actually might have a connection to Earth. Something like that. I'm not entirely sure. Have not read it yet. But yeah, looking forward to another Tchaikovsky. This one, you can blame Evie again. That is Pride and Prometheus by John Kessel. Now, this one I got because during a live stream, Evie mentioned this one. So this is a crossover between Pride and Prejudice and Frankenstein. So I believe the whole premise is that Mary Bennett ends up falling in love with Victor Frankenstein. So yeah, that's all I know. I might love it. I might hate it. We'll see. I kind of want to wait to reread Frankenstein before getting into Pride and Prometheus. So we'll just have to see. If anyone's read this one, please let me know. Now, we have reached the last book in this book haul. I'm going to be honest, I'm less excited to get to it than I was before. That is Catabasis or Catabasis by R.F. Kuang. It's just my luck that the one Kuang book with a premise I'm actually interested in, it seems to be that the general consensus is that it's meh. So, just my luck. So for those who don't know what this is about, it's about a young woman named Alice Law. This takes place in a world where people are studying magic in universities. So Alice aspires to be a great magician. Her professor ends up dying in a freak accident that may or may not be her fault. And basically the premise is that she wants to journey through hell to find him, to get, I believe, like a recommendation letter, which I found amusing. However, she's not the only one who has the same idea. Her rival, Peter, also has same plans, and it's about them trekking through hell to find their professor. So, just the image of people willing to go to hell to get a recommendation letter sounded funny to me. And this was inspired by Dante's Inferno, and I love Dante's Inferno. So I felt like, oh, a Kuang book that I feel that I might really enjoy. But yeah, like I said, as I mentioned before, it seems that a lot of people, even Kuang fans, are admitting that it's just eh. So you know what? I'm going to read this, and if I come upon a stumbling block, I'm just going to DNF it. I'll still give it a shot. I even got this really nice edition as well. But you know what? Look, if I end up really loving it, I got a pretty edition. If I don't end up loving it, someone else is going to get a pretty edition. So yeah, that is my book haul. My last video of 2025. I hope you guys enjoyed. I hope you found that entertaining. Please let me know down in the comments if you've read any of the books that I hauled. What are your thoughts on them? What are some books that you got over the holiday season or just over the months? So yeah, thank you very much for watching, and I look forward to seeing you guys in 2026. Thank you, and until next time, bye!